Following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee.
Welcome into Reaction Monday here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. I'm Chris Yao, Mo Patton alongside as always, and man, what a terrible weekend we have to react to. Let's just be honest, but we've got a lot of reaction to get to. But before we do that, Mo, tough weekend, but it's another week. Start over.
Yeah. Hope springs eternal, I guess. I don't know. And as you really consider the weekend, I'm not sure how terrible it was. I mean, last night
could have been worse.
Last night reminded me of some of my old math classes where where the math teacher says, "Show your work."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we got at the end of that game to where we expected to get to, but the way you got there was what made it disappointing, I think.
Well, as I've seen on Twitter today and other times, I feel like I would have just been better off getting blown out. I mean,
I can see that. I see that. I've said that. I get that. At the same time, I think the way they lost really gives you some hope. I mean, they competed. They played toe-to-toe with a team that is considered to be one of the best teams in the AFC.
Sure.
I think the defense was on the field way too long, and I think that led to the 3rd and 17 conversion and everything that happened from there on. And
also Bud Dupree being off the field on 3rd and 17, unfortunately.
Well, he was off the field for most of the second half, I think. But again, that kind of speaks to maybe some depth over there. I'm not sure, and I don't guess we need to get too far into the weeds as far as that goes.
I mean, it's the next segment, but
we got a whole hour and a half. But I mean,
yeah,
I think there are some good things to be taken out of that, and I think we also had some things confirmed.
Yeah. I would agree with that. So I think we're going to get into it. We're going to have a whole segment on the Titans and last night's game. As disappointing as it was, like you said, I think we did learn some things. I think we got some positives out of it. And I think we, to me, that seems like it seems like a win, even in a loss last night for whatever reason. But
I'm telling you, for that team as it was constructed to go out to Kansas City and lose by 3 in overtime, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say what you will, but that's a win. Everywhere but in the standings, that's a win.
I agree.
I mean, we're not into moral victories. I get all that, but who expected that to be a one-score ball game?
Not I can tell you that. Not I. And no, you don't think Jason Garrett was sweating sitting next to Herm Edwards in the fourth quarter after
sitting next to Tony Dungy?
I mean, Tony Dungy, yeah. He's sitting there going, "Dang, coach, you was right."
He almost pulled it off.
The worst part is a line of scrimmage in the fourth quarter is kind of what got them beat because of, not being able to grab and control Mahomes in the pocket. So,
I tell you what, was Travis Kelce frustrated or what?
I've never seen Travis Kelce that angry, and I loved it. Every bit of it, except for when they didn't throw a penalty on him for being frustrated.
For grabbing Anthony Adams in the end zone on that play.
Oh, not just that one, but when he tore his helmet off and threw it off the field. Oh, that's a penalty.
Well, apparently it's not.
It's against the rules. Put it that way. It may not always be a penalty, but it's against the rules.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll get more.
I was trying to elongate a little bit there because I was waiting on the end of the TCU Lipscomb women's basketball game.
Oh Lord.
And it has that's all I was waiting for. So we can get to it now. We can get to the weekend results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
The Monday Rundown is brought to you by Zion Christian Academy. ZCA offers a faith-based, Christ-centered education in Murray County. Give them a call today at 931-388-5831 or visit zioneagles.org to schedule your appointment today. Zion Christian Academy, prepared for college, equipped for purpose.
High school football action. It was Bartlett getting the 46-28 win, and I'm struggling to see that, so I'm going to make it bigger. 46-28 win over Centennial. It was Beach 49-22 over McGavitt. Cookville falls to Blackman 49-20. Bledsoe County shuts out Harpeth 22-0. It was Brentwood 17, Collierville 7 to save 7-6A.
Yeah.
Cane Ridge shutting out Gallatin 48-0. It was Chattanooga Christian 27-7 winners over Good Pasture. Clarksville down John Overton 47-14. And Lakeway Christian comes all the way over and edges out Clarksville Academy 43-42. It was Coffee County 28, Stewart's Creek 21, and CPA a 27-16 winner over Boyd Buchanan.
Donaldson Christian with a 48-13 win over Fayette Academy. It was Decatur County Riverside 56, Loretto 31. Dresden with a 45-14 win over Eagleville. East Nashville outlasted White House 14-10. East Robertson downs Polk County 55-28. Fairview with a 47-6 win over Maplewood. Franklin Road Academy 49. Grace Christian of Knoxville 27. Giles County 46. Brainerd 8. Hardin County with the 14-7 win over Creekwood. Houston Downs Independence 27-10, and Jackson Christian over Columbia Academy 49-14.
In overtime, Lebanon holds on to defeat Riverdale 41-34 in a barn burner. It was incredible to listen to on Friday Night Live. Lexington down Greenbrier 40-6. It was Middle Tennessee Christian 45, Tipton Rosemark 14. Mount Juliet 43-6 winners over Lincoln County. Mount Pleasant shutting out Scotts Hill 41-0. Munford 36, Clarksville Northeast 18. It was MUS 17, Father Ryan 10. Nolensville 41-3 winners over Wilson Central, and Davidson Academy down North Point Christian 29-14.
Oakland with a 65-0 shutout of Shelbyville. Page 48, Green Hill 21. Pearl Cone shuts out Jackson Southside 38-0. Pope Prep with a 35-13 win over Briarcrest. Germantown comes to Ravenwood and gets a 30-20 victory. It was Adamsville. Sounds like the game of the night with a 35-34 win at Richland. Smith County shuts out Sycamore 41-0. Smyrna 27, Hendersonville 3. Is this a scoregami? Portland 11, Southwind 7.
I don't even know how you get to 11.
I don't. Yeah, I'd love to see that scoring summary. Springfield with a 27-7 win over Memphis Central. Waverly downs Stratford 52-24. Westmoreland with a 16-12 win over Meigs
Also
County.
Potentially a scoregami.
I can see that one. A lot of 2-point conversions either gotten or not. Whitwell with a 38-13 win over Joe Burns.
In NBA action on Friday, it was the Grizzlies 130, Hornets 99. And then on Sunday, Grizzlies edge out the Wizards 103-97. In Major League Baseball, Dusty Baker gets his managerial ring. Astros down the Phillies 4-1, and the Astros win the series 4-2. In NHL play, it was in a shootout. The Predators, a 4-3 winner over Vancouver after getting up early and doing what they do in the third period. And the Chiefs in overtime, as we said, 2017 winners over the Titans in overtime last night.
College football action over the weekend. Georgia defeated Tennessee, in case you've been under a rock, 27-13. If you're listening to us, you already knew that. You also knew this. South Carolina 38, Vanderbilt 28. Louisiana Tech with a 40-24 win over Middle Tennessee State in Ruston. Austin Peay downs North Alabama 38-35. And SEMO, Southeast Missouri State, with a 42-0 victory in Ohio Valley Conference action over host Tennessee State. Men's basketball action this weekend. Cumberland with a 70-64 win over Bryan College out of Dayton. And Union with a 79-71 win over Cumberland. Trevecca downs Covenant College 55-52. Columbia State defeats Shawnee out of Illinois, I believe, 71-45, and then falls to Vincennes 76-51. Northeast Mississippi 91, Ball State 81, and Middle Tennessee State with a 79-52 win over Brescia.
Women's basketball action over the weekend and today. Cumberland, couple of wins, 75-52 over Thomas and 60-54 over Faulkner. Columbia State falls in a couple of games down in Florida. Northwest Florida State 93-37 over Columbia State, and Gulf Coast State 99-38 over the Lady Chargers. Vol State falls to Northeast Mississippi 72-58, and as I just mentioned, TCU with a 69-62 win at home against Lipscomb.
Men's basketball action tonight, 6 o'clock on ESPN Plus. Tennessee Tech is at Thompson Bowling Arena against Tennessee. At 6:30 on ESPN Plus, Ohio University is at Belmont. At 7, Austin Peay is at North Carolina State. That's also on ESPN Plus, as is Memphis at Vanderbilt, 7 o'clock. And at 8 o'clock on ESPN Plus, Fisk is at Tennessee State. In junior college action, Trevecca's junior varsity team will be at the Webster Athletic Center against Columbia State. That's a 7 o'clock tip. And at 8:30 tonight, Gadsden State out of Alabama travels to Gallatin to take on the Vols State Pioneers.
Women's basketball action, Fisk is at Tennessee State. That'll be at 5:30 on ESPN Plus. All of these NCAA games on ESPN Plus. At 6 o'clock, in Middle Tennessee State is at Mercer. Austin Peay at home against Cumberland. And Vanderbilt goes to Western Kentucky at 6:30. In junior college action, Gadsden State is at Vol State. That's a 6:30 tip. And Columbia State is at Meridian, also a 6:30 tip. In NBA action, the Celtics are at the Grizzlies. That's an 8 o'clock tip on Bally Sports Southeast. And on ESPN Monday Night Football, the Baltimore Ravens are at the New Orleans Saints. It's a 7:15 kickoff. And that is your rundown.
It's one of the longer ones we've had in a while, huh?
Well, when you start getting college hoops back in action.
Yeah, just wait till we get high school hoops here in about
when high school basketball's in action. You remember those baseball rundowns, baseball and softball from the spring? Yeah, it's going to be like that for a while, and that's okay. Which means that if your business is out there and you want to sponsor something, that's about what? 7 or 8 minutes that your information will be on the screen. So I'm just saying.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
So just letting you know the rundown is available for sponsorship. Now, let's top story today. Frank Reich finally gone. Can't believe he made it this long. Fired your offensive coordinator last week, scored 3 points this week.
Realized maybe it wasn't the OC.
maybe it wasn't the guy who wasn't calling plays. Go figure. So Reich is out, and instead of elevating one of the
number of people,
one of the two former head coaches on your staff, including John Fox, who has been a pretty good head coach over in his lifetime.
He knows a little something.
He does. And instead of elevating him, they decided to go.
I mean, I can understand not elevating Gus Bradley. I mean, he was at Jacksonville, right?
So yes, but still, he's been a head coach. He understands what it is. And
he has coached in the National Football League at the head coaching position.
Yes. Well, the other guy has also been a head coach. He was at some random high school in Georgia, Hebron Christian Academy in Dacula, Georgia. That'd be Jeff Saturday, the former center and Pro Bowler and everything, Mr. Everything, Ring of Honor. Good for him, but what?
Right.
I mean, come on, guys. What are we doing here?
Well, and surely that was his response.
Wait a minute. You want me?
Me?
For why?
Right. All right. Whatever.
It is pretty funny though. At this point, I was really glad we didn't end up in a tie last night, because I was thinking, man, 3 of the 4 AFC South teams having a tie in their record would just be bonkers. So, but yeah, Frank Reich gone. Colts will be looking for a head coach. This is now the second head coach that's been fired in the NFL during the season, and the first time Jim Irsay has ever fired a head coach in season.
And I would imagine it took quite a bit, because they were all in at the beginning of the season, and so were a number of NFL experts who picked Indianapolis to win the AFC South, as they always do, with no real basis.
The one guy on Monday Morning Quarterback Club, the one guy, he's the only person in the national media that consistently gives the Titans any credit. I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
That's unfortunate, because he deserves some love.
But yeah, I mean, he's the only one, and it's just ridiculous that we're sitting here, 8 weeks into the season, and the Titans are by far and away the best team in this division, and
given the work that this Titans team has, that's saying a lot.
Yeah. So anyway, Jeff Saturday, good luck. I mean, good luck to you, buddy.
Hey, he's got Jonathan Taylor though, right?
Yeah, best running back in the league. That's what I hear.
That's what I'm told.
Now it's Nick Chubb. It's anybody but.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Anybody but Henry.
I think there must be someone who in Nashville who feels that way as well, given last night's second half.
Yeah, let's get into that, and we will do that right after we take a quick break right here on Main Street Sport. Kyle Brandt. Thanks, Justin. Kyle Brandt is his name. We'll take a quick break here. Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Reaction Monday continues with Titans reaction right after this. Stick around. Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee. Because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. It is time to react to a little bit of Tennessee Titans, as the Titans fall last night in Kansas City, 20-17 in overtime, with a quarterback and no wide receivers to speak of, and a dominant defense. Let's be honest. The defense is Super Bowl capable, which is unfortunate considering, I mean, Amani Hooker's not even on the field right now. Imagine if Harold Landry and Amani Hooker were on the field, both of those guys in injured reserve right now. This team, this defense would just be disgusting. And not that it already isn't, but it would be even more disgusting, Mo.
Yeah. I just thought defensively for what, 3 quarters and some change, they really played lights out. And again, we talked about how well and how much they frustrated Travis Kelce. They had Patrick Mahomes running for his life a lot. And ultimately it was one time too many, because when he broke the pocket on that 3rd and 17 and went for 20 yards, that just kind of lit a fire under them offensively, and they just rolled from there basically. But
well,
I don't.
I mean, he had to scramble again for the touchdown. That was a 3rd down play. It was 3rd down and 10 that he scored on the touchdown on. So I mean,
and then after they stopped 2-point conversion attempts,
he had to scramble again.
Yeah. So
I mean, the defense did everything they could do other than contain 15, which is not exactly the easiest thing in the world to do. In fact, it may be one of the tougher things to do in the National Football League.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Patrick Mahomes, folks.
He's not chopped liver.
No. And so 2 questions. And this has been all over Twitter, but you know, and I said this last night, a lot of folks said this, you saw it. I don't know how you can be upset with with Malik Willis last night.
But plenty of people are.
A lot of folks are. And I'm not sure I understand at all, because Todd Downing is the problem here. He's been the problem for 2 years. I mean, I know that Ryan Tannehill made some bad decisions in that playoff game, but honestly, like, I don't know that Todd Downing put him in the best possible situation to make good decisions last year in the AFC, first round or second round technically. But this is my problem. Todd Downing is the issue. Not anybody. I mean, I know our receivers don't get a lot of separation, but if they don't, if you know that and you've been knowing that, then you have to game plan around that. They do nothing to stretch the defense to the sidelines to open up running lanes for Henry. Nothing at all. I don't know how that everybody in the world hates those wide receiver screens. I hate them, but they serve a purpose. And when you've got guys like Malik Willis, who, it would be nice if we could throw a couple 5-yard hitches every now and then, just to get him in a rhythm, and use those perimeter pass plays as basically additional run plays just to stretch the defense. He does none of that, and it doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, when you start talking about what does or doesn't make sense, I mean, how many touches did Derek get in the second half?
8.
So,
and Mike Herndon, who, works for paulkaharski.com. So take that as you will. All right. He tweeted that here are the second down Second down and distance for every drive in the second half. 2nd and 14, 2nd and 10, 2nd and 16, 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, 2nd and 6, 2nd and 9, 2nd and 8, 2nd and 10, 2nd and 9. Quote, the run game wasn't effective in the second half at all. Not sure how much more trying would have helped. To which I replied, one, you can't just run it on first down every time. And they did that on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, on 7 of these 10 drives. And the last 2 were overtime and the under 2 minutes. So of 7 on these 10 drives, they ran the ball on first down. Okay. Now, you can't just run the ball on first down, and if he doesn't get 4 yards, then we throw it, because that's exactly what he does.
Mm-hmm.
That is Todd Downing to a T. If Henry gets 4 yards, he's getting it again. If he doesn't get 4 yards, we're throwing the ball. It's as predictable as, Christmas. Okay. But here's the thing. In the second half, you're ahead. Even if it is 2nd and 16, 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, I don't care, because I've got 2 options. I can put the ball in the hands of Malik Willis and hope, or I can put the ball in the hands of Derrick Henry and hope.
Mm-hmm.
Now, between those 2 options, who you taking?
Well, you'd like to think you would take the more proven commodity, but who knows?
I mean, to say that the run game wasn't effective at all in the second half. Okay, well, the passing game hasn't been effective at all in 2 weeks. So I think that's an absolutely terrible narrative. That is, you're holding water for Todd Downing at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You just are. Now look, 1st and 10 at the 39. All you got to do is get points. You win the game, probably.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, let's see here. We get you run the ball first down. All right. Then you've run it again, take the deep shot, and then NWI drops it, which, again, I don't think it was a great throw. I think it was a catchable pass, but I don't think it was a great ball. If he had led him instead of making him jump to catch it, it's probably a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
But that's neither here nor there. You have to catch that for Malik Willis. If he puts it in your hands, you've got to catch it, no matter whether you had to turn around and grab it or not. If it hits you in the hands, you've got to catch the football.
Well, I mean, that's where, you've got a young quarterback struggling, and you've got to help him out when the opportunity to do so presents itself. You got to help your young quarterback out.
And then they throw the screen pass, which, again, 2 drives ahead of that, it was penalty, run, scramble, screen, punt. Once again, as predictable as Christmas, Todd Downing. It doesn't, I mean, all you had to do was get 5 more yards, run the football. He stopped running Willis in the second half completely. Just stopped, did not run the read option and tell him to keep it. Now, I think Willis is a little afraid to keep it sometimes. I think he's afraid that folks are going to call him selfish or whatever. I think he's got a little bit of a complex about him, and that's not necessarily his fault. I think he's just trying to do what he thinks is best for the team, and that's hand it to 22 if he can. But sometimes he's got to keep it to make sure that the next time he does it, that 22 might have an option, right? So that being said, you got to put some confidence in his mind. Give him some play to get his confidence going, and then lean on 22. It's not difficult. This is not hard. This is not rocket surgery.
Well played, sir.
Anyway, that's my rant. Now,
on to Denver.
You asked me a question last night, and I told you my answer. And Has Derrick Henry maybe lost a step? I mean, it's probable. He's hurt. He was hurt.
Yeah, and that's
Injured.
I think that's maybe the aspect that gets lost, and I may have lost it myself. Obviously he even took to social media last week when he was limited in practice and told everybody to chill, don't worry about it, everything is okay. But clearly he was limited in practice, so clearly that foot is not 100%, and it might be a situation where it's not going to be 100%. But I'll tell you what,
Right.
if he's not breaking runs to the house, he's certainly breaking long runs, and that's not a bad thing.
Well, both times last night that he got caught from behind, which number 38 from, I don't know who 38 was for Kansas City, but he ran him down. He was 10, 15 yards behind him and ran him down. But even on both of those runs, he got chipped, inside the tackles that kind of slowed him down a little bit, which, that I think had a little bit to do with why he was tackled without taking it to the house. But yeah, I mean, I don't think he's gonna be as fast as he was. I mean, he's 28 years old. He certainly has more miles on him than than he had 2 years ago. That being said, we don't need him to break 99-yard runs.
But I think we've gotten spoiled with him breaking 99-yard runs.
Sure. But even if he's lost a step, that doesn't change who Derrick Henry is. Derrick Henry is a pounding back that's supposed to wear on a defense through 4 quarters and through a 17-game season. Then by the end of the year, he's the way that he has trained is to be better by the 4th quarter, better at the end of the year.
And to do that, you've got to run him for 4 quarters.
You can't stop it just because he goes for a yard on first down or 2 yards on first down doesn't mean you don't go back to him on second down.
Right. Well,
it's frustrating mainly because we know what this offense is supposed to be. And apparently Todd Downing wants it to be something completely different. But I will say,
and I guess as the offensive coordinator, he can certainly do that.
And at some point, the buck has to stop with Vrabel. And here's the thing: I'm not in the press conferences. If I were, I would only be in one. I wouldn't get to come back to a second one. And that's probably why we don't get that question more often. It's probably why we don't get, what are you doing to make sure this coaching staff is the best it can be? Because honestly, it's not the best it can be right now.
Well, a lot of folks are going to tell you that that's because you're playing with a backup quarterback, a rookie backup quarterback who is limited and that kind of thing. That's going to be the party line at this point. That's why the offense is not executing to its full potential right now.
Yeah, they weren't executing their full potential when Ryan Tannehill was playing, though, were they?
No.
I mean, you and I know that.
No, they weren't. So
it's a cop-out answer.
Mm-hmm.
And look, Mike Vrabel is a great football coach for 2 reasons. One, he always has his teams ready to play. And he has his teams in intensity at a level that I have never seen a coach have a football team every single week. There are great things that Mike Vrabel does. And look, and he's built a mentality here in Tennessee. The next man up mentality has worked really well for this franchise. But at the quarterback position, again, how many times have I said it? There are 14 people in the entire world at any given time who can play the position at a high level. And there are 32 teams. So you do the math. Anyway. On to Denver, like you said.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, man. Talk about your all-time just didn't see that comings. The Denver Broncos.
That
Just in
team's a
general.
mess. That
They
team's
are
a
an
mess.
absolute mess. And this is not the kind of team that the Titans, after a physical game like that, they probably don't even want to play the Broncos right now, because it's almost like it's a lose-lose. If you win,
You're
okay,
supposed
well,
to.
the Broncos are a mess.
Mhm.
If you lose, you
Oh,
got
yeah.
issues. And then you got to turn around and play the Packers, which, by the way,
On a short week.
yeah, but good as this defense is playing, bad as Aaron Rodgers is playing, you feel pretty good about the next two ball games.
The only issue is it's at Lambeau, and you don't know what kind of weather you're going to get in mid-November, the Thursday before Thanksgiving.
Yep, that's the key right there. You don't know what kind of weather you're going to get. But anyway, let's take a break. Talk Vols and SEC football. All right, we'll do it right after this on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Y'all stick around. This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee sports editor, three-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSWA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
Other guy in Wham married the best looking girl, Bananarama. So other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice. Welcome back into Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Reaction Monday here, and, well, we have to – we're just going back in time. We go from Sunday to Saturday in the big one. Obviously, Tennessee and Georgia. Georgia with the 27-13 win over Tennessee in an absolutely dominant performance, and let's just call it what it was. It absolutely could have been worse, but it also could have been better. Tennessee did not play its best football game. And Georgia absolutely had a lot to do with that. Let's give credit where credit was due. But Mo, a lot was made, obviously, of what to expect between these two teams, the best offense, best defense, and who was going to prevail. You have to just look at Georgia and say, my goodness, what a force.
Mm-hmm.
Because they lost, 15 draft picks last year, 5 first-rounders?
They lost a bunch. I don't know what the number was.
And
they lost about half their defense.
and then lost what was supposed to be their best pass rusher, and then, oh, by the way, absolutely disrupted Hendon Hooker all day long.
All day long. But I think part of the disruption of Hendon Hooker was he played like he expected to be disrupted.
See, I'm not sure, and I don't think that, and I know he said he was, but I don't think that Josh Heupel was expecting them to be that much better up front than Tennessee, because it didn't feel like that they were prepared with their offense to combat being pressured. And I think what happened was, you look at that 38% pressure rate and you say, well, they've played Samford and Kent State and Missouri and nobody that's got a decent offensive line. That's why they're getting pressure there, but they're still not getting home. So we shouldn't have any problems, right? So, yeah, and I can understand thinking that, but once the first quarter was finished, you got to make some adjustments. And at that point, I think Hendon Hooker was a little rattled, which,
Flustered.
as he should have been. And he
Yeah.
was flustered.
But I mean, the way this offense has played all year, you got to take some shots downfield. Now, I mean, maybe he didn't feel like he had time for those routes to develop. I'm not sure, but they did not play the vertical passing game at all.
Well, that was based on Georgia. If you go back and kind of watch the pre-snap alignments, Georgia was playing 8-10 yards off the ball every time. Almost never did they have their corners playing press coverage. They basically said, okay, we're going to give you these 4, 5, 6, 7 yard routes, and if you can hit them, but you're not going to beat us deep. And the problem was that Tennessee never consistently was able to hit those 5, 6, 7, 8 yard slants, curls, etc. But out routes, when they did, they were successful. And then they got into the red zone when Georgia was able to use sidelines and barriers as additional defenders, and they couldn't punch it in, kick field goals. Can't do that and beat Georgia. So that was the difference in the ball game.
So is that the recipe then? Are they going to see more of that the next 3 weeks?
Well, that's a question that I asked in this tweet here. Can other teams mimic what Georgia did to stop Tennessee? No.
Because other teams aren't Georgia.
Correct. This is exactly what Pitt did. I mean, this is the exact same thing that Pitt did defensively to Tennessee. They tried to keep them in front. They tried to do those things. They couldn't do it because Pitt's not Georgia. Missouri's not Georgia. South Carolina's not Georgia. Vanderbilt's certainly not Georgia.
You just had to throw that extra descriptive in there, didn't you?
Well, I mean, it just is what it is. Look, I mean, and here's the thing. If they make it to a New Year's Six bowl and they don't make the playoff, that team ain't going to be Georgia either.
Yeah.
So it's not a knock on anybody other than the fact that it just goes to show that Georgia's the most talented defensive team in the country.
Here's the thing, and here's what I think there is a faction of Tennessee fans that get this, but for those that don't, public service announcement. The loss is the only thing that Tennessee got out of Saturday. Negative.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing else that was impacted. I mean, they can't win an SEC championship. Okay. You didn't think they were going to anyway.
No,
they can. There's still a path, and it's not a arduous one to the college football playoff.
No, I mean, if you're talking about the top 4 teams in the country right now, and records aside, if you're talking about the top 4 teams in the country, Tennessee is one of them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, TCU is probably going to be ahead of them, but I think they're going to be 5th.
I think they're going to be 6th
behind TCU.
If TCU is ahead of them, TCU will not be in the top 4. Michigan will move up if Tennessee drops out. Michigan will be the number 4, and it'll be. We'll talk about it tomorrow, but you're right. The fact is that the only thing that you can't do is win the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
Period. And that's unfortunate because, you really felt like you had a good opportunity in this, a year that
you
the SEC West seems to be
you
down.
felt like you had a good opportunity 2 weeks ago. You didn't feel like you had a good opportunity 2 months ago.
Right. No.
So,
and that's what I kept telling folks. I was like, look, am I disappointed? Yes. I'm disappointed because it would have been really cool to see Tennessee go to Atlanta and win an SEC championship and all that goes with that, be number one from start to finish, et cetera, et cetera. That would have been really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a win-win situation on Saturday. If you lose, you go 11-1. You don't have to worry about playing Alabama or LSU again, and you're in a New Year's Six bowl no matter what. You're going to the Sugar Bowl with absolutely no question about it. You're going, and if you win, well, you have a shot at the SEC championship, and you are an absolute lock for the college football playoff. Now, right now, ESPN has Tennessee with a 77% chance of making the playoff.
Because you really have to struggle to find another loss for Tennessee.
Yeah, you'd have to struggle real. You would definitely have to do some calisthenics.
Yeah,
some mental gymnastics.
Who of these last three?
The only game that's on that's on the road is South Carolina, and they're just not good. I mean, they're just not. Now, can Spencer Rattler, make you look silly? Probably. But they're not going to stop Tennessee. And here's the other thing, by the way, just throwing this out there, and this is exactly why I said the only reason that I was scared of Georgia, Will Muschamp. Dude has sold his soul to somebody to not lose to Tennessee. Florida, South Carolina, didn't matter. That dude's on the sideline. We're not beating them. Whoever it is. It could be Alabama A&M. And Tennessee couldn't beat him.
That's a stretch, but
well, maybe
I'm going to indulge you.
But I mean, that's just how it feels. It feels like we're just not going to beat this guy, no matter what. We're just not going to beat him. So, look, Tennessee's fine. It's not doomsday. Thank you to LSU for one, because you just made that win over you guys look. You guys being at what, 6-2 now, 7-2 versus 6-3 is a world of difference. Alabama 7-2, their 2 losses to top 10 teams. They're not dropping out of the top 10. They're probably going to go to 10. And so Tennessee's got 2 top 10 wins, and their only loss is to Georgia. But I do have one question. And I've been waiting to say this on the air because I want to get it on the record, and I want it out there in the ether, in the universe. Georgia fans have put out this narrative that Kirby somehow took his foot off the gas. At what point in the history of Kirby Smart has Kirby Smart taken his foot off the gas?
What would be the basis for him doing so? Why would he do that?
Would he take his foot off the gas? He was absolutely dominating. Why would he stop? Why would you risk Tennessee's offense having opportunities to score?
Well, particularly in this day of the CFP where style points do matter.
Especially when you have, this is your biggest win. Of course, Oregon still looks really good. But you beat Oregon 49-3. Why would you not beat Tennessee 49-3 if you could?
46.
Whatever.
Yeah. Well,
why wouldn't you?
Well, exactly. And I don't know what is to be gained from Kirby taking his foot off the gas. And so, I mean, what? Him and Heupel are big boys or something, or what? No,
absolutely not. There's no way. And here's the other thing. Look, a lot of folks saying, well, Georgia just ran the clock down in the second half. Georgia had that first drive, the field goal that they ended up kicking on the first drive. After that first drive, they ran 11 plays. The rest of the game, 11. They went 3 and out 3 times.
Yeah, I don't think there was any removal of any feet from gas or anything else.
So in that case, defensively, you have to feel like Tennessee feels really good.
About holding that team to 27 points, yeah.
3 points in the second half.
Mhm.
3 points in the second half. Whatever adjustments you made worked. I'll tell you what I'd do. Whatever Shane Bowen did last night to Travis Kelce, that's what I'd do to Brock Bowers. Figure out that game plan. Call him up. Can you give me your game plan for Travis Kelce?
I think Brock Bowers would handle it better than Travis Kelce did.
Maybe. But it's the only chance you've got to slow him down.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do. Figure it out.
Yeah.
And can we give Stetson Bennett his just due?
Please? I don't know why people, if Stetson Bennett was 3 inches taller, he would be on everybody's draft radar.
He would be number 1 overall.
And you know, I said it last postseason, maybe even earlier. I mean, everything that kid has been through to be the starting quarterback of the defending national champion Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, he gets my respect. That's for sure. I mean, he's a player. He can sling it. He's tough as nails. And you saw it on that touchdown run early.
Absolutely.
I mean, if I know that there are a lot of good quarterbacks in this league, and we talked about it during the preseason, and we talked about it over the course of the season, but I don't think Stetson Bennett backs down from any of them.
No. Give me Stetson Bennett against anybody, and he's no worse.
Yeah.
Put him up against anybody. If Tennessee had Stetson Bennett, I'm not sure the game is much different.
I don't, yeah.
But I don't think it's worse, is my point.
Stetson Bennett is kind of who you have in mind when they said about Bear Bryant, he could take his and beat yours, and take yours and beat his. I mean, I don't think you're any worse with Stetson Bennett at quarterback than whoever you've got if you're in the SEC.
And most of them would be better.
So
most folks would be better. You don't think Jimbo Fisher would love to have Stetson Bennett right now? I mean, let's
I don't think Stetson Bennett's dumb enough to go, though.
No, he's not. Speaking of quarterbacks, and we'll move on to the SEC now. Vanderbilt used 2 of them.
You know, I did not watch a snap of that ball game. I guess I was watching Alabama LSU because I'm a one-screen guy.
Well, I was in the car when I was watching on my way home from the wedding on Saturday, listening to Alabama LSU. But AJ Swan, 10 of 18, 127, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Mike Wright, 8 of 15, 101, 1 touchdown and a pick, 6 carries, 43 yards, 7.2 yards a carry. So I asked you on Friday, would they use 2 quarterbacks? And they did.
They did.
And the problem is that I don't think you're any closer to figuring out who the guy is next year than you were on Friday after Saturday.
And both those guys are underclassmen, right? I mean, obviously Swan is.
Swan's a freshman, right?
Yeah.
Junior?
I think Wright is a junior. So, I mean, the obvious question becomes, does he stick around?
I mean, again, if you're out here, Here's the thing. Your best wide receiver, Will Shepherd, who is incredibly good,
Mm-hmm.
he's not going to be there next year.
Mike Wright is a junior.
Shepard's a junior, but
yeah.
I mean, right now, if he came out, he's a top 2-3 round. He's a top 3 round draft pick.
And if you are a receiver from Vanderbilt who is a top 3 round draft pick, if you're going on in the first 2 days,
you got to go.
What are you coming back for? Because you don't know what your quarterback situation is going to be if you do come back.
There you go.
You can only hurt yourself.
That's correct.
So,
and see, Vanderbilt had a great second half. Whatever Clark Lee did at halftime, which maybe South Carolina took their foot off the gas. But
yeah, because Shane Beamer would do that.
I mean, it was 31-14 at the half, and I don't have the scoring summary ahead of me, so I don't know if it was ever 38-14. But Ray Davis with 167 yards, 8.3 yards a carry, by the way, for Vanderbilt. It seems like the offense played pretty darn well outside of 2 turnovers. And maybe those 2 turnovers were killer. I don't know. I wish that I knew. But it just doesn't. It felt like a game that Vanderbilt had a chance to win, and then it kind of appears that instead of just trying to win it with a quarterback, he was trying to decide who he wanted his quarterback to be. I think if you just let one of those 2 go, then you probably have a better chance to win that football game. Of course, defensively, they got to play better.
Yeah,
period.
I mean, neither of the quarterbacks had anything to do with giving up 38 points.
Trying to, you get into the, let's see here, play-by-play, which is interception on the first drive of the game at Vanderbilt's 42. Of course, he threw it downfield. So, that interception turns into 7 points.
Okay, so
second half.
Maybe the quarterback did have something to do with 38 points.
Well, no, because Mike Wright's interception came with a minute left to go in the game, and they're trying to, they're trying to score late. I think he threw it into the end zone, and that was but they also fumbled. Of course, it led to a fumble. So, fumble turns into a field goal. They missed a field goal. So you missed a field goal that you're 1 score down if you make the field goal.
All right.
So Vanderbilt had its opportunities. I think, look, Vanderbilt is improving.
Slowly.
But they've got to make decisions and improve from there. They can't. You can't have 2 quarterbacks, especially one that's a freshman and one that's a junior. You just can't.
Yeah,
you got to make a decision.
You got to make and you got to pick somebody and go. And I mean, I think it's almost like they're trying to keep both those guys happy so they can keep them around. But I mean, if one of them's not going to be your guy, then does it really matter if he's there or not?
No. Yes, it does. Ask the Titans. It's nice to have a guy that you can count on that's sitting on the sideline.
Well, I mean,
have one.
It's not like the Titans guys are going to transfer, though. That's a difference. But I mean, I'm still a little shocked that Ken Seals is still there.
Well, maybe he's thinking what you're thinking. One of them's going to leave.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's unfortunate. I don't think Vanderbilt's the biggest loser from the weekend. I think Alabama is because, and I think conversely, LSU's the biggest winner because, obviously LSU now has a chance to play for an SEC championship, and they're probably going to do so based on their schedule. Their remaining schedule is not, I think they've got, I know they've got Texas A&M left, and I think Mississippi State, maybe. I'm not sure. No, Arkansas. They've got Arkansas left. Yeah. And then Alabama's out for the first time since, 2013. Alabama does not have a chance to play its way into the playoff. I don't know of any other time that they've been out of the playoff discussion before the Iron Bowl.
Well, this makes up for it because they are.
They're done.
And Alabama fans are not handling it very well.
No, they're not. How much of I'll say that young Alabama fans are not handling it well. Folks who remember the mics understand kind of what they've got and what they've been doing. Yeah. I mean, you had what, 3 or 4 in a row there. So if you remember the mics, then you feel pretty good about where you're at. And most of the people, that I interact with do. Now, Twitter, different world. But you can't. And here's the thing. Alabama's still 2 plays away from being 9-0. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those 2 losses to top 10 teams in a 12-team playoff, they're probably a 9 seed, 8 seed. They'd be close to getting a home playoff game.
Sure.
And you certainly wouldn't want to see him again if you were LSU or Tennessee. I mean, even no matter what you say.
No, once is enough there. No, thank you. Yeah, we're good.
But I mean, yeah, Alabama is the biggest loser from the weekend in the SEC, I think. Even Arkansas losing to Liberty, which, by the way, Hugh Freeze had never won at Arkansas before Saturday.
He'd beaten Alabama however many times that he never won at Arkansas. Okay.
Never won at Arkansas. He said, I come up here with a lot of really good football teams and could never get it done, but y'all got it done today. So Arkansas, a team that we thought was easily, if not Alabama.
If not Alabama, yeah.
LSU was not on our radar.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, tip of the cap to BK, man. I mean, and I mean, they weren't on our radar at the start of the season. They lose to what I didn't think was a very good Florida State team right out of the box. They got drilled at home by Tennessee and haven't lost since.
And Jaden Daniels has looked like a completely different quarterback since that Auburn game.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Tennessee game gave him the confidence he needed to be the quarterback he could be.
Well, he's certainly been that.
After that Tennessee, after that, I thought, my goodness, how did we just give up 300 plus yards to this guy who only had 80 against Auburn? Well, now I know he's pretty darn good. And if not for that week 1 loss to Florida State, which I think Joel Klatt said this last week, and I'm stealing it from him, but I'm going to give him credit. One of the things that the 12-team playoff is going to do is give some mercy to these week 1 games. Give some mercy because LSU was, I mean, they missed the field goal that would have won the game. I mean, crap, yeah, they lost, but it was the first game of Jaden Daniels at LSU. It was the first game of Brian Kelly's at LSU. And I know it was also, Mike Norvell, all of those things. I get that. But I mean, let's give some grace. And now that LSU has gone out and won a couple of big ball games, you kind of have to extend them some because, well, they're probably going to be in Atlanta.
Well, I don't think you have to extend them any. I think they've just taken it. They've forced you. You got to pay attention to us because we played our way back into this situation.
They really throw a wrench into things, don't they?
Do they though?
Well, I think the Florida State game throws a wrench into it.
I think you're overthinking it.
I mean, one team has 2 losses. One team has 1 loss. One team has a win over a common opponent. And that's Clemson. That's I mean, in the world of college football, that's the way you have to think about it.
See, I don't look at this thing as deeply as you do. Clemson just got drilled by Notre Dame. Notre Dame is off the radar. So to me, Clemson is off the radar. And their win over Florida State is just their win over Florida State, who beat LSU in week 1, is
a blip.
Doesn't mean a whole lot to me.
But in the world of college football, you're going to have to talk that through if you're in the room, right? If you're making these rankings.
Well, I mean, who does that impact? I mean,
probably nobody?
I mean,
probably nobody, unless something else crazy happens, right? Unless Tennessee loses again, or once TCU loses at some point, they've still got to play Baylor and Texas.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to lose to somebody.
Once TCU loses, that clears some stuff up. I think Ohio State, Michigan clears some stuff up.
But what happens if Michigan or Ohio State slip? I mean, Michigan was losing at halftime to Rutgers. Ohio State, I know the wind and all of those things that go along with that, but they couldn't even run the ball on Northwestern.
Right. So when you say, what if Michigan or Ohio State slip, you mean before they play each other?
Yeah. Or in the Big Ten championship game against Illinois or some stupid crap. Because these rankings matter now, but they also matter in week 12.
Yeah, I think whoever wins Ohio State, Michigan is probably the Big Ten's only shot. And if they lose in the Big Ten championship game, then they're out, I would think.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So my point is that ranking where you rank LSU and where you rank Clemson this week impacts the college football playoff in week 12 after the SEC, after the conference championship games.
That's why I'm thinking it's going to be Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, or Georgia. They're not going to rank 2 conference teams.
They did last year
behind the other.
They did Georgia and Alabama last year, 2 and 3, which was weird, but
it is weird because they play
and just
theoretically they would play each other the week after.
Right.
Yeah. I think your top 4 though is going to be, and you don't think TCU is going to be in the top 4, and that's the difference. I think it's going to be Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU, and Tennessee 5.
I think Tennessee's going to be in the top 4.
You do or don't?
I do.
You think Tennessee's still going to be in the top 4?
Yeah. If again, like Wes Rucker said, the fact is that if TCU's resume last week wasn't better than Alabama's, it certainly isn't better than Tennessee's this week.
Which
is why it was so important. Like I said, important.
Where you are the first ranking.
It's where you're at in the first ranking. It's where you're at in the second ranking that impacts week 12. They don't think TCU's very good because TCU isn't very good.
They're just undefeated.
And that's it. That a lot of folks say, well, they won. Okay, well, they didn't play Georgia. Okay, they didn't. They just didn't.
Mhm.
They didn't play the number one team in the country.
Yeah.
Somebody
And-
said, well, they did what Tennessee couldn't do. They won. I said, no, they didn't. They didn't beat Georgia. That's the only thing Tennessee couldn't do was beat Georgia.
Yeah. I mean, if you flipped their schedules, what would happen?
Oh, dear God.
Mhm.
Tennessee, you know that the Kelly Ford rankings that we've put up here before.
Yeah.
Only 5% of teams in college football could do what Tennessee has done. Essentially, what they said is that Tennessee has the most impressive record, even at 8-1, than TCU and Georgia at 9-0.
Mhm. I can see that.
Because of their schedule. Look, Tennessee's got 2 top 10 wins. Those 2 wins on their own are better than anybody else's wins outside of Georgia. But you put them on the same resume, 2 top 10 wins. And these are not teams that were ranked top 10 and then fell out. These are top 10 right now wins. Tennessee's going to be in the top 4. They've got to be. Thank you, Clemson. Thank you, Clemson. We appreciate it.
No doubt. Getting a
Notre
solid
Dame,
out
baby.
we got a couple of solids from Dabo actually, because if Tennessee is in the top 4, it's because of Clemson, and we don't have to worry about Clemson anymore.
There you go. I'm all for that.
No doubt.
Let's take a break. We've been on this for like 30 minutes, which is fine. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk briefly about high school football. College hoops also starts tonight. We want to get into that just briefly as well. Memphis and Vanderbilt, I think, is kind of a big deal. So we'll get into that as well. But first round, high school football was this Friday. We'll react to that right now, right after this on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Y'all stick around. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Reaction Monday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Round 1 of the TSSAA playoffs is complete, and you mentioned it in the rundown. Richland Adamsville may have been the game of the weekend, and I still don't understand exactly what happened. And it's unfortunate for Richland as they Had a great season. First time they've hosted a playoff game since 1990, and certainly felt like they were going to win the game. I mean, they had a lead with less than 2 minutes to go, and a series of unfortunate events of Lemony Snicket.
I need somebody to explain to me. Richland was up 28-27.
Correct. With less than 2 minutes to go in the game.
They scored a touchdown.
That's correct.
To go
34-27.
34-27. They decided to go for 2.
Well,
yes.
Yes, but they didn't just go for 2, Mo. That was the problem.
They went for 2 out of extra point formation, and they did the snap it to the holder, flip it over your head to the kicker, streak into the corner of the end zone. He did not get there.
Didn't even catch the ball.
Did not catch the ball. That's right. Yeah, from the video that Landon Sechrist provided of the play. And kudos to him.
I haven't seen his video. I took a video from X Sports.
Is that where it was from? I thought
yeah.
Landon had video. Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay, well, I saw a video somewhere, and I assumed it was Landon who was covering it for us. My fault.
Either
Sorry.
way, kudos to Landon.
At any rate, again, went for 2 out of extra point formation, didn't get it, 34-27. And then Adamsville comes down with their ace returner rusher who got a 60-yard kickoff return and then finished off a 333-yard rushing night with his 5th touchdown, I think. And they went for 2 and got it. So 2 things. Why do you go for 2 there? And addendum, if you're going to go for 2 there, why don't you just run a line up in an offensive formation?
Well, the answer to your second question shouldn't matter because the answer to your first question is I don't know. Look, Richland has missed their share of extra points this year. Plenty of them.
And I get that. And if you are concerned with that, then I get going for 2. But
line up in the Notre Dame box and let Ethan Workman run right behind Josh Workman and score your 2 points, put the game out of reach, go to the second round.
Yeah.
But here's what happened. They missed the 2-point conversion, and then they kick it to a guy who apparently
should never be kicked to.
Should not be kicked to.
In fact, Adamsville coach Brandon Gray said afterwards, I was surprised they kicked it to him.
They kicked it to him. He took it inside the 15. They scored 1 play later, get the 2-point conversion, and the rest is history.
The rest is history. And Adamsville's going to Lewis County, and Richland is going to the house. Nobody kicks to him. He's returned 3 of 4 kicks this year. They kicked it to our best returner, and they believed in their kickoff team, and we believed in ours, is the quote from Brandon Gray.
Which, again, kudos to Landon Sechrist for covering it the way he did. I thought he did a great job and captured the essence. It was just an unfortunate end to a great season for Richland. I think it was. Here's the thing, you didn't have to score the last touchdown. I mean, look, I'm not upset at Ethan Workman, who scored his 30th touchdown of the season on that play, by the way. That's insane. Kid's unreal.
Not a Mr. Football semifinalist, though.
No, apparently not good enough. But, I mean, it's just like everything that could have gone wrong there after that did.
I'm not going to fault a kid for scoring.
No, not at all. But
the possession may have been more important than the points, as it turned out.
Correct. I mean, hindsight's 50-50. Man, I got all SEC coach isms today. not only that, but let's see. East Nashville having to hold on 14-10 over White House. Didn't see that one coming. And as I mentioned earlier, Region 7 6A saved by the Bruins.
Thank goodness for the Bruins, huh?
And poor Collierville. This 2 years in a row they've had their season end in the first round to a team that probably in hindsight you don't think you should have lost to.
Yeah. I mean, but I really kind of felt like by the end of the year you could have, and you dang near did with 4 of them coming into week 11 at 3-1 in region play. You almost felt like you could throw Brentwood, Ravenwood, Indy, Centennial into a bag and draw them out any kind of way.
And same for Region 8, because they were all 8-2, weren't they?
They were all 8-2 overall, but clearly their region records were different. But
yeah, but I mean, going into week 11, probably could have thrown all of those into a hat and drawn some out.
Yeah. So, but
that's what's so, it's kudos to the Memphis area teams, because look, last year it was their first year back after COVID. Clearly they've, been able to get some things right over the last 24 months.
Yeah. And good for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't really see any other like huge, upsets or anything like that.
I want to say this. Shout out to Creekwood.
That's it's so unfortunate, because that defense is just so darn good.
Well, I mean, they went on the road to Hardin County, which has been a tough out for the last 4 or 5 years, and held those guys to 2 touchdowns in Savannah and lost 14-7. I mean, that's, again, there are no moral victories, and they're done for the year, but they went down there and they put up a heck of a fight.
That defense, man, Creekwood's defense all year long just has been sensational. Clarksville is rolling right now, just rolling, and they get Cane Ridge this week, and I think that's going to be a heck of a football game.
We'll see. I think Cane Ridge is playing really well right now.
Well, I think both of them are, which is why I think it's going to be a very good football. It's going to be it's going to be a dogfight. And Lebanon, they get Oakland after Oakland ended their season last year. Got a little revenge on the mind after a 41-34 overtime win over Riverdale. That was a tough one, though. And this is one of the things that I talked about with Kit Hartsfield at Mount Pleasant. When you're able to kind of coast in round 1 and get some guys out in the second half and rest a little bit, and then you've got your next opponent's playing in one of those 2-3 dog fights, it's a big advantage. Because you don't have to worry about that. Those guys are going to be tired. And now you've got a little rest in week 12.
That Mount Pleasant game, they scored 2 special teams touchdowns.
They did. Returned a punt and blocked a punt.
And blocked a punt. And you don't see that a lot, especially, again, at the 2A level. I think this Mount Pleasant team is built a little different than a lot of these teams. Held Scotts Hill to 71 yards total.
Well, yes, but before Mount Pleasant started getting some of those starters out on defense, Scotts Hill had 8 total yards. 8. They had 63 yards on 1 drive, or 2 drives, sorry. And both of those came deep in the fourth quarter. So, yeah, 8 total yards and outscored them on the year 84-0.
Yeah.
because they beat them 44-0 in week
41
2.
and 43. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
But
80, yeah.
well, that defense is going to get challenged because Riverside rocked Loretto for 562 yards.
Yeah.
Riverside's got a
Riverside,
running back that went for 291 and 5.
but they also they don't they run the they run a version of the wing T too,
I believe so.
I think. I don't think you can run I mean, I know that what Columbia did, but there aren't a lot of Caden McCoys out there in Class 2A. I don't think you can run a wing T against this defensive front and be successful for 4 quarters. They're just so good.
Well, you mentioned Gavin Alderson and Connor Scherer up front, and then you've got Archibald and Matthew Holden at the linebacker spots. Those guys, they do a really good job getting to the ball.
Mm-hmm. If you stay at home on those buck sweep counters, that's all you got to do. Yeah. Now, look, credit to Loretto. They had a great year. Their defense, not great.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly not Mount Pleasant great.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting I'm expecting a good football game. Look, Riverside's always good. This is a great football program. They're always good. But this is a Mount Pleasant team that, like you said, built different.
Yeah. We're getting close, and we want to mention that college basketball has started. Chris was watching Lipscomb at TCU women earlier.
I watched Middle and Brescia too a little bit on Twitter earlier today.
We've got Memphis at Vanderbilt. I guess this is Memphis's first trip to Nashville since, well, anyway. But at Dickie V on Twitter, most intriguing opening game is Memphis basketball at Vanderbilt as I Am 1 Cent, Penny Hardaway versus Jerry Stackhouse. And I would read the Twitter handle, but anyway.
You're blocked.
Loads of cupcakes today being given out versus the power conference teams. Penny and Jerry will truly get a reading on their team's strengths and weaknesses.
Day one.
So Dickie V will be paying attention to the goings on at Memorial Gym tonight, apparently.
It's going to be a good one. Also, before we get out of here, Mo, got some folks who are up for the Hall of Fame in.
Now this is a committee. This isn't a vote, right?
Correct. This is a committee vote. My question is, what's the word for recent? Starts with a C.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are we doing here, bottom left?
What, with McGriff?
San Diego? Come on. Come on, man.
Yeah, that's not the portion of his career that gets him considered for this. That's for sure.
But you couldn't have two Braves side by side, I guess.
Yeah. Contemporary.
That's it.
Yes. It was going to bug me if I didn't come up with it. Yeah.
Yeah, the contemporary committee is choosing this is Bonds, Clemens.
Oh, you got Joey Bell. I'm sorry, Albert Bell. Bonds, Clemens, Mattingly, McGriff, Dale Murphy, Palmero, and Schilling.
So, Ralph, the pride of Mississippi State.
Yeah.
If you're choosing one of those, who are you choosing?
If I'm choosing one, ooh, goodness.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
If I'm only choosing one, my initial reaction was McGriff, honestly.
I think so too.
And then Dale hit me. So
I think it's McGriff. My top three would be McGriff, Murph, and political ideologies be damned, Kurt Schilling. I mean, if we're talking baseball, and if we're not talking baseball, then it's probably Albert Bell.
I have to really. I'm so torn about Bonds.
Because he was a Hall of Famer. He was a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Before 2000, he was a Hall of Famer.
So, yeah.
But you
it'll
know,
be
also,
interesting. It'll be interesting to see how the committee handles that.
well, if you put Bonds in, you got to put Clemens in, right?
Is
What, like 5
Clemens
Cy Youngs or something?
is Clemens a all-time leader in anything?
Cy Youngs outside of Cy Young.
Is he?
Pretty sure he won like 5 of them.
I don't know. I mean, but I mean, Bonds is the all-time home run leader. It's kind of tough for him not to be in there, I think. So,
yeah,
we'll see.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We are going to be back tomorrow with more reaction to college basketball, everything else that's going on, more college football, and of course, we will preview the college football playoff rankings. What do we think they'll look like? We've already given you our top 4, but that could change. We'll talk. We'll get there tomorrow as well. So appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Chip Walters will join us, and it's Top 5 Tuesday. All of that coming your way tomorrow on Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. For Mo Patton and Justin Kulik, I'm Chris Yao saying so long. We'll see you later.